The word and idea of the ego is the root of several character traits that humans possess. People who are egotistic act upon self-interest, and people who live with egocentrism perceive the world from a personal vantage point. Furthermore, the word ego is often used by the average person in a more colloquial manner. If a guy gets rejected by a girl, the humbling experience is often a hit to the ego. Ego lifting is when a person tries to impress others by attempting to lift a weight that's far heavier than their actual strength, often resulting in failure and sometimes even injury. A lot of CrossFit gyms have signs that say, "Leave your ego at the door," and there's at least a dozen popular songs that are simply entitled Ego. All of those uses of ego are fine, and they're all interesting and worthy of reflection in their own right, but none of them accurately depict the ego that I'm referring to. What I'm referring to is the part of your mind that comments, doubts, and speculates on everything. The ego is driven by fear of being nothing and of being forgotten, and it tries to alleviate this fear through identification with material, thought, and emotional elements, giving rise to what you think of as your self. My ego has been with me through all the early struggles of life. In days past, my ego was screaming at me during the white-knuckle sobriety attempts. My ego was mocking me when I would fall down and fail, and doubting me when I'd get back up for another round. Now, the ego lives in the past, and the past is a delicate subject. There's a fine line when allowing your mind to venture into it. For a lot of people who suffer from mental illness and people who are in the early stages of recovery from alcoholism and addiction, dealing with the wreckage of the past is an important step to wellness. And when you're ready to venture into the past, you got to put your trust in the people who know how to chaperone you through the misery of it all. You have to take the advice of counselors, therapists, sponsors. You need to be comfortable being vulnerable at 12-step meetings or in group therapy settings, and you have to learn how to meditate effectively, journal honestly, and release your soul from the bondage of the past. You need to remember the past while releasing the bitterness, regrets, and hurts that are connected with it. If you're feeling resentment or remorse about the actions of yourself or others, you need to recognize that you're living in the past, and you must never live in the past. It's helpful to remember what happened in the past so that you'll no longer repeat the same mistakes, but instead of ruminating on it, you have to keep directing the energy and attention to what you are doing here and now, because the ego is always living in the past. But you are not your ego. You're the being that is aware of the ego. The rising awareness is what you are, not the voice inside your head. That voice is the ego, and you are the awareness that is prior to thought. And since the ego is always living in the past, constantly ruminating on the past only gives the ego more life. You must remove the past by observing it as it arises in the now. If there's an emotional reactivity that blossoms within you because of an egoic thought about the past, just observe that emotion. Don't think about it. Don't talk about it. Just observe it. Look at it. Listen to it. The awareness of the moment will dissolve the past in you, and in turn it will put the ego back in its place. The key to pulling your mind out of the past and out of the grips of the ego is to recognize that there is wonder in the present moment. Being wholly in tune with the present moment is how you'll come to know the spiritual essence that connects all of life. Your ego searches for peace, happiness, and contentment outside of yourself, but instead, you need to discover it within, now and always, in whatever you are experiencing. You can let your experience wash over you. The ego loves longing for a different time and dwelling in the troubles of the past. It breeds discontent and resentment, and it prevents us from moving forwards and feeling the thrill of life and all of the gifts offered in the present moment. But they are there. They're waiting for you to separate your identity from the ego and to move forward. You can practice feeling joyful in the present and being thrilled with the realization that right now, all is well. All is always well. Life is full of mystery and wonder, and each moment of our awareness adds to that wonder. So let the ego live in the past and just be aware that you are not there. You are here. You are now. And if you do this, you are right on target. You are participating in the wonderful, glorious drama of life as it happens. And you are blessed.